So, in terms of Sidera, that's what I wanted to say. And then IPA would go on to say they are sanctioning. IPA would go on to say they are sanctioning. These are the targeted sanctions now. They are sanctioning organizations such as AgriBank, Zixco Steel, IDBZ, because if they make profit, they are going to fund the, according to the 2020 article, they were going to fund the Mugabe regime. Yeah, that's what the 2020 article says. If they make a profit, they were going to fund the Mugabe regime. AgriBank, Zixco Steel, IDBZ. So they were not going to get a funding from those from America or the EU-based houses. But then my point is, I think we can do away with all these sanctions. I think sanctions are a part of the problems that we have in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a big problem on its own, and sanctions are just a part of it, right? So we need a leadership who is supposed to negotiate through these sanctions. These sanctions are there, right? They were put in place because we put, as a country, we're putting policies that are going to protect the Zimbabwean people, right? If you want to protect the Zimbabwean people and we're going to stick to our own policies, we are supposed to navigate towards within those sanctions so that we can achieve economic prosperity as a country. But it's been 40 years as a country. We are not able to do that. Why? Because we've got corruption, we've got nepotism. There's no transparency, within how is the government money spent, the fiscal activities are not transparent in Zimbabwe. We are supposed to act towards that. I think we are not supposed to focus on sanctions. We are supposed to focus on us as an economy and focus on problems that we're facing as a country, such as nepotism, such as corruption, such as policy inconsistency. Some of the investors are not coming to Zimbabwe because we have policy inconsistency in Zimbabwe. Every 2 years, 3 years, a policy changes. Which investor would want to come to a country where there is such a policy inconsistency? I don't think, I think we're supposed to address that. And then I think we're supposed to have a job-intensive economic growth in Zimbabwe. As we grow as a country, we know we have a lot of technocrats in Zimbabwe. They are offering such big terms, they are offering some, but then are they addressing the real problems which are in Zimbabwe? The biggest problem that we have in Zimbabwe is unemployment. Are they addressing that? No, they are not. They are not addressing that, right? We need job-intensive economic growth in Zimbabwe. People are supposed to be employed in Zimbabwe so that people can be productive in Zimbabwe. And then the other thing is, I'm sorry, but then I think we are supposed to appoint people in positions of power based on meritocracy rather than loyalty. We have a lot of people who are in positions of power who don't even know what they are doing. I have my brother who is in China here, who was talking about experience and stuff. The mayor in Beijing is an engineer, environmental engineer. that's the mayor in Beijing. He's an environmental engineer and ecologist. He was appointed based on meritocracy, based on the problems that are being faced by Beijing. His deputy has got a master's in environmental science. He was appointed based on the problems that are being faced by Beijing. But what are we doing in Zimbabwe? We are appointing people based on loyalty rather than meritocracy. So are we going to move forward? This might involve some politics, but it's the truth. It's the truth. I am so sorry, but it's the truth. If you are going to move forward, we need to address all these problems. Yes, sanctions are a problem, but there's a far much bigger problem that we have in Zimbabwe that we can tackle as a country so that we can move forward. Besides politics and everything, I think we can move forward. Thank you very much. That would be my submission.
Thank you, Munashe. I heard you very loud and clear. Same as our guest speakers heard you and our audience. You brought up a lot of points, and also something that we need to look at in one of our topics is the Diaspora Talk that you've just said in passing, but I'll consider it to some of the guys and who are behind this Diaspora Talk. We're going to need you as one of our guest speakers in your contribution. You said something in passing that was actually, you went off the rail about sanctions, but you also said something like, what is the root cause of these and these ABC that we need to look into? Also about the thing of about credentials when somebody's elected as a member of parliament, as a governor, as a councillor, as a country also need to look into that. It had actually nothing to do with sanctions, but it's also an interesting subject that we need to look into in future. For myself, I don't have much to contribute as just the moderator because I'm not supposed to take sides. But if you have gone through the Zidera thing, I think Zimbabwe has some things that they are against the suppressors, which is America and Britain, that they would have said no, would have gone for this, and then the sanctions would have removed. So Zimbabwe is also weighing some options in saying we're not going to do this because of this and that. That is from my point of view, because Zimbabwe would rather submit to SADC than to submit to EU, for your own information. And then Zimbabwe wants to own its loyalty to SADC than EU. Yes, at one point, Zimbabwe has done something right and Zimbabwe has failed. All this, we've brought it up and we have had it. But somebody came back to his senses after we gave him a chance to speak. He says, now, no, I need to speak. Maybe he had to consult somebody. So I'm going to give them the mic again. RG, I'll give you a chance again.
Can I just speak before RG?
Okay, Munashe, it was a one-on-one between me and you, so you're open. You can speak.
Okay, thank you very much. I was just going to speak on the SADC issue, saying that SADC came up with recommendations for Zimbabwe, and then Zimbabwe didn't respect the resolutions of the SADC resolution. That's why we had some other external forces coming up now to Zimbabwe, whereas we as Zimbabweans failed to address, to respect the SADC resolutions. we were given resolutions by SADC. In 2005, we were given resolutions. 2018, we were given resolutions. The Mohlande Commission, it wasn't respected at all. So that's why we have all these external powers now coming on.
But Munashe, as much as you may say that Zimbabwe is refusing to submit to countries like Canada, if you go back in the Zidera, if you open the section of public law, which is 107.97, a section which was written in December 21, 2001, Zimbabwe is refused. Remember, Zimbabwe has some things that it's refusing. So let's not be contradictory in what Zimbabwe has to do to please the Queen and other people. And then let's speak as Zimbabweans for Zimbabwe based on Zimbabwe.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Totally agree with you on that. That's why I said we don't need other forces outside of Africa who will interfere within the affairs of Zimbabwe. But then my problem is the Zimbabwe people in power in Zimbabwe, they don't respect other bodies in Africa, such as SADC and AU. They were given recommendations by the SADC Commission, by the AU Commission.
That is very good, what you're saying. But if Ghana, for example, wants Zimbabwe to do this, and Ghana, for example, I'm giving you an example. If that is the point is coming from a Ghanaian who has his or her loyalty to the Queen or to Biden, it still binds with Zimbabwe, no matter who an African who has said. Remember that very well, that Zimbabwe is, even if the meeting is chaired in the SADC, they're also very careful in what they do and what they don't do based on where it's coming from. Because like now we have Zambia betraying in having this American base in Zambia, which is a threat to us. But this is a story for another day.
I talk about
this is a story for another day, but we are not going to listen to Zambia the day Zambia stands up and say this to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is going to be very objective when it comes to Zambia, because Zambia has already shown their loyalty to the Americans. You can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I won't talk about AfriForum because I think back then we were answering to the AfriForum, but it was based in the EU. If you read the document, the organization was always there, but it's a new headquarters that has been set up in Zambia. So I won't talk about that. My point is, these conditions, they are very clear. Reconciliation, acknowledge human rights abuses, in good governance, economic reform, they are very clear. I don't think they will be very difficult it will be very difficult to achieve some of these conditions. They were also recommended by SADC. They are very clear. They are written in the document. But then from what we see in communities we live in, some of us, your community where you come from in Zimbabwe. When you see a documentary, sometimes you want to defend your country, but then it's what is happening in Zimbabwe.
Okay, Muna, what I'm going to do for you to make this very interesting, I'm going to open up for the audience. There is Muna. Muna is going to be taking some of your questions. I'm just going to try and control the order. Everyone, I've unmuted your mic. Can we share this debate so it becomes interesting for everyone?
We can share. Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If I can start through chairman, can I start? In relation to what Muna was saying, it's one of the points that I mentioned. I'm sure that's my second from last point, if I'm not mistaken. Exactly, like where we're saying government sometimes they hardly try to dampen the negative economic consequences of sanctions. These governments, they rather tend to respond by pursuing policies which severely compound the sanctions' adverse effects on the economy. They do that for propaganda reasons. So also again, such governments, because they know in most cases about 46% of sanctions, of economic sanctions cases has led to regime change. So this government, they usually tighten up the screws. They usually start to fight everyone, be the citizens, be anyone. They'll start pointing everyone. They will start like you are pushing regime change agenda. You are you are not you are not what they call this word, like you are not you don't put value your country, don't put your country at first. I've forgotten the word, simple word though. So what Muna is saying is true. Sometimes these governments, they will try by all means to make it seen as economic sanctions are not good by keep on putting policies which are not good, brutalizing citizens who are complaining. At the same time, we also have some other organizations like those who are anti-government. They also use this sanctions crescendo to start to even poke government so that government will retaliate. So it's like a tug of war. It's like a tug of war. Like they want government to retaliate. Once government retaliates, then they say, okay, look what they did. Look what they did to us. At the same time, the government on its own, apart from that, they will also try by all means like to consolidate power by doing everything they can. So I tend to agree with what Muna is trying to, or what he has been putting on the table. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, RIGF, you had something to say, and then we move on to the other guys.
All right, where do we? Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Desmond. Yeah, just to comment on the issue, Yamataura Namuna. To me, it doesn't make sense when we say Zimbabwe in zvinhu zvaisiri kuda kuita obey zvichibva ku-US kana kuna Queen. But then toti iri kuda kuita submit to SADC. SADC yovapa ma-recommendations and then vobva vaita disobey the recommendations. Number one. Number two, it doesn't make sense to me kana tichiti Zimbabwean government later submit to SADC. But Zimbabwean government goes on to pay a lobbying company in the United Kingdom. It pays 90,000 a month, which doesn't make sense. If you don't want to deal with the whites or the West or the Americans, why then go on to Nova Badara? Why are we leaving 54 countries in Africa? It doesn't make sense, to be honest. Okay, and then moving on to that, let me bring you back maybe to the topic. Muna mentioned issue yezidera. So it's also issue pakuti. Can we achieve a stable economy in my sanctions? And I'm saying yes, even though my sanctions are trying to yes. How? If we look at Zidera rakazouya in 2001, 2002, if I'm not mistaken. But in 1999, we were already sanctioned. To suspend one IMF. Why don't we interrogate my reasons kuti suspend from getting financial support from IMF in 1999? If we are going to answer this question Yandru Peter put forward, we shall then find out that we only need good governance in Zimbabwe for us to achieve a stable economy, irregardless of these so-called sanctions are not pure as an excuse with our government of today. We can achieve a better economy, we can feed our people, we can create industries that are functional. I have a question. We have been dealing with our Chinese friends since 2001, sanctions, up to 2018. But my Chinese anozongomuka oti we are sanctioning Zimbabwe, Chinese banks sanctioning Zimbabwe, our own friends. For what reasons? if we are to interrogate and investigate this question, we shall then find out that it's bad governance. So in Zimbabwe, I personally think that yes, we can achieve stable economy regardless of these sanctions. Thank you so much, Shaq. We can move forward.
All right. Yes. Can I just
Thank you,
come in?
thank you, RG.
Oh.
Thank you, RG. Order, guys. I'm going to have Setson MK speak, and then we're going to have Nash speak after Setson. Thank you. And somebody who's on the highway, please can you unmute your mic before I mute everyone? We're going to have Setson, and then we're going to have Nash.
For the sake of fairness, let Nash speak first, because I think
No. I'm the chair. I decide. There's no fairness. I decide.
Oh, okay.
Speak first.
Okay, thank you. The question says, can Zimbabwe move past the economic sanction in place in its journey to achieve economic competence? I want to bring you back to the fact that most people think that our problem started in 2000 when we were sanctioned by the British government and the American government. In actual effect, our problems go back prior to that period. I mean, go back before we even got our independence. The problem with most countries that have fought for their independence, the moment you want to disassociate yourselves from your former colonial master, then hell, that's what happened to Zimbabwe. We tried too early to win ourselves from Britain and America, of which they were benefiting from our the economy, because they owned everything in our economy. So the moment we decided we are going to do away with them, then obviously they were going to set us as an example to the others who would want to follow suit. However, having said that, Panechinonzi, in life, there are things that you can control and there are things that you cannot control. We cannot control what they can do to us, but we can control what we can do in our country. The fact, Panama words are known as good governance. Panama words are known as discipline. That's what we lack in our economy. We have what we call individualism. Leader, if everything is okay with me, I don't care about the next person. But in most countries, most countries are developer. They don't follow a certain trend. They put their country first before themselves. That's what we need to do as a country. We need people who have a willingness to put themselves before the country. But in Zimbabwe currently, and unfortunately and sadly, we don't have such people who are willing to having said all this, what I'm trying to say is we need to be solution oriented. Can I get solution oriented? I'm saying let's put away politics, because right now politics is the main or major cause of our problems in Zimbabwe. Sanctions, because we cannot control that aspect of sanctions, because even if we cry from the top of the mountain, those guys are not going to listen to us, because sanctions were put in place because we took our land. Our land, of course, it was necessary to grab our land, to have our land. So what are we doing to ensure that we move from that stage? Of course, it takes a lot of time. I understand and I appreciate that fact. It's not could move from this position neutral land, because it can step backwards and then motanga with a rebuild and going forward. The problem right now is because we are divided amongst ourselves. Ukaenda muZimbabwe nhasi ukavhunza uyu anokuudzawo zvake uyu anokuudzawo zvake. A country cannot advance in that alignment yakadaro. We need time to sit down as a country. Toonesana kuti akomana, in spite of the challenges let's put our house in order first before we even blame zvimwe zviri kubva kunze. Pan-African proverb, when there is no enemy within, an enemy from without can cause no harm. It's also true an enemy which is within our country. Ourselves are to blame. You can never shift the blame on somebody else. You have to take the responsibility and the blame for all the problems anoitika pamba pako, even uchiziva kuti mamwe acho ari kukonzerwa nevanhu vepanext door. But as a father, you have to take that responsibility. Zimbabwe has to learn to take that responsibility. But zvinoda vanhu vari willing to take our country forward, not vanhu varida kuzadza matumbu avo. Currently, we have politicians who are just there to feed themselves, to feed their egos, vachiti tiripo, until we get people who are willing to take the country forward. Vasina chi individualism, vasina chi kuti ndini, then our country is going to move. But for the meantime, we can only do our small things to contribute to our country. But for now, I mean, personally, I believe a generation of new people. Let's work together, regardless of our political differences, and put our country back to its true self, to its former self. Otherwise, politics is at the root currently of everything that is happening in Zimbabwe, because politics is a bad governance. Politics is no appoint munhu kuti iwo uchiuya upinda apa asina qualification, asina chido chebasa iroro raari kuita, but because he's politically connected, he gets that position. Saka azvishande. We have a lot of talent in Zimbabwe. Look at brain training. People who are going to the UK, to the US, to South Africa, to China. Those people are contributing in those economies, but they cannot contribute in their economy because there is some problem within our own economy. So we need to sort that out. Until then, let's just push and push and push and wait for time, because time, it will heal everything. All these things shall pass, and we are willing. And we cannot keep on blaming others. It's Britain, it's upon us, and we have that responsibility to do so. Thank you for taking so much of your time, but I have to lament this so that people understand my point of view. This is my point of view. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Sedson. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sedson is a Zimbabwean based in China. So guys, don't think maybe join the platform from Zimbabwe. He's got other reference. No, he's here in China, in Beijing. Now we can have Nash.
All right. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for giving me this chance. I like a lot of the points the guys are putting across. My own submission is this. I particularly do not have questions, but my own submission is this. I think this question is asking us to say, can Zimbabwe move past the economic sanctions in place in its journey to achieve economic competency? I think we are long past the stage yet no chairman sanctions. I think we are long past that stage. What we are lacking in Zimbabwe is what I can call willpower, or the drive to actually achieve or do something. The thing is that sanctions are now being used as a convenient scapegoat, because they know that they cannot get things right. They know kuti they have so much bad within them, and they try to look for the next convenient thing to point at. Kutizoni is the sanctions, but it's not. I will give you a few examples. If anything is, if we remember going back into history, from time Governor Gideon Gono, we understand initially Kutima sanctions are because we took the land and some of the companies and stuff. And after Isuzu Vachuvakapiwa Mund, turned up my farms and we looted everything, Gideon Gono came and refunded those farmers. They gave them my inputs, my tractors, those guys knew what they were doing. But the problem we have as Africans or Zimbabweans is that we are not deliberate in what we do. We don't even know what you want to do and what you want to achieve. We rush everything up, just like the way we took the farms back. We were rushing everything. The thing is that those people went to the farms, but they did not know how to do the farming. and we made a mistake, and we're still making the same mistakes up until now. I understand Gudi, I think a year ago, Tagan started a bumper harvest. But how much more of that would we have gotten? Ivan Wakayenda Ugugu, Vekenge Vadzidziswa Gurima. It could have been more. We have suffered countless budget deficits funding this same industry. Isirku kwanisa kufida nyika, because the guys who are ruling us do not have the willpower to do things right. I'll give you a case in point, China. A generation ago, these guys sat down and they decided they were going to do something for their country. They were going to position themselves from the periphery of the world stage and actually be something that they sat down to say, we're going to do this. Look at the Singapore story. If anyone has read that book, or if anyone has paid attention to Singapore, those guys sat down, they said, we're going to do this for our country. What have our guys done? Now the sanctions are there, and I totally understand that there are things we cannot do because of the sanctions, but how much more is corruption done to our country? And then every time we want to talk about corruption, then the guys bring this sanctions thing and say, they are the economic sanctions and all of that. There's corruption, there's nepotism. I think someone talked about it earlier. Someone on social media was pointing to this bridge in Berengo. I'll give you just an example. We do know that within our government, there are countless guys from the Midlands. But we have a bridge like that on a major road in Midlands. That's not working. But we have countless guys who are running the show, who come from an area that does not have a working bridge. Now, there comes another problem. The people back home, or us as Zimbabweans, we are afraid of the next man. What I mean by that is that we are afraid of building our communities. We are so much bent on controlling people that we do not build our communities. When this country was coming up, they just formed up like 5 places where they were going to concentrate development and start building from there. We have not done it. We have places where we have got diamonds back home. We have places where they are mining platinum. We have places they are mining granite. Go to all those places and see what shells those places are. Go to Mutogo right now. There's nothing that shows that we are taking a precious stone from that place. Nothing. Go to Mutare. There's nothing that shows that. They speak about devolution. And then what's happening on that front? There's nothing. So we lack that willpower. We lack accountability. There's no one who goes to the next man to ask Gutizoni, what are we doing with regards to this? I feel pity for that woman, the Auditor General, who year after year brings out that Auditor General's report. She reports that this ministry did that. They looted these funds. They looted this. Nothing is done about it. And it comes out on a Sunday. On a Monday, we talk about it and we forget about it. Even us as the citizens, we do not get those guys to account. What I understand is that we are the many, they are the few. If we really wanted to make them account, we do that. So also us as the citizens, we are part of the problem, because we are also just looking for the easy way out.